written in stone. And you have been talking a lot about 9 months from now that something is going to happen. What if, and I'm just tossing this out there, just playing a little bit the devil's advocate just for a few seconds here, what if nothing will happen with it when the 9 months are up? How are you gonna deal with that?
Well, I personally don't believe nothing's going to happen, but I do believe in the preceding 9 months, earth things will happen, exaggerated by man-made things that will happen, due to the 26,000-year cycle that's what we're going through, and people that don't want to believe that the planet goes through these cycles, they probably don't want to believe other life forms. You know, they don't want to believe anything outside of their belief. Those people, that's like going extinct. You know, when you don't want to adapt to what the changes are demanding. You know, you either control your environment or it controls you. All right, so I'm looking forward to every kid that wakes up and realizes that there's seniors that also are woken up or have some information or something they can share. And bonding together again, because the dividing ages and the generations and dividing the races are the two major things that has to be worked on. And for example, like I said before, you're in Sweden and here in America, and I'm considered an Afro-American here. That's something that probably would not have happened. You know what I mean? But this, like you said, synchronicity or whatever it is, it's happening through something that we do not have any understanding about yet. But we will. We will. I believe we will, because we're not going to be eating from Walmarts and these supermarkets. We're not going to, especially when the jig is up, and it's happening as we speak. When because these guys have spent too much money. They've stolen too much money. People are just saying, hey, wait a minute, I'm starving. My family's going to die of starvation. I'm going to be in the streets. These people are worried about the basic necessities. Going back to basics, the basic necessities. No more are they indulging in 3 meals a day while the rest of the world's lucky to get one. They're starting to realize that they were over taking more than what they're supposed to have. They're going to start sharing. These principles are all positive energy. You know what I mean? And that's the balance thing. We may not overcome evil. It will probably stay in the world forever. But it can be balanced. The planet may change, and the terrain and the environment may change, but human beings are the supreme beings of this planet. We've been here for a long time. Whatever shape, color, form we're going to be in the future is going to depend on people like us that are going to, survive. And you will survive, my man. I'm telling you right now, you will.
Well, I firmly believe that we are going to get through this one way or another, because I sense this strong. I think that the creator that's behind this in the first place does not want this to just go away or to just end, so to speak. I think that there has always been life in one way or another, life forms, if you like. What I believe to be true for me, though, is that there are many layers of existence and many frequencies and whatnot, and even now modern science has started to talk about different dimensions and layers and whatnot, so they're catching up to a lot of the spiritual people when it comes to their science. And so I think it's great that we're starting to merge more with modern science, the way we think about spirituality and the knowledge which we have had for a long time. But another question I have for you, Wayne, what do you think about free will?
Well, that's the one thing we still have. That's the only thing we still have is the free will. And having that alone should tell you, they don't control us.
No, it's a lot of people seem to be confused about that, because some say that we don't have it, that they're total under control by someone else, and what I've said many times is that you will be under these people's control if you allow it to be like that, because you have the choice to to change, that path, and you have it's all up to you. Is what I think that's the message you're trying to get across to people too. That
yeah, you do like water does. You follow the path of least resistance. If you run into people that are just firm on whatever it is, it's totally scary, boogeyman thing. Quite frankly, you should get out of that environment. It's like toxic waste, man. Get out of there. And if they insist, and it's going to have to go to physical with me, I'm not going to stand there and listen to somebody talk negative. You know what I mean? Negativity is a disease. They don't want to put it on the medical charts yet, but that's what negativity is. It's a disease. It's what kicks in everything. Mm-hmm. If we just stop being around negative people, listening to negative news, worrying about the fears that they present before us, life will go on.
Mm. Well, that's funny you should bring up negativity, because I've actually people have written to me because of some of the videos that I've posted in YouTube, and they've said, that I'm way into conspiracy theories, and I'm way into spreading negativity, but that's not how I see it. I see it as bringing out a message, And I also try to tell people that and I think you also said this earlier on, that trust yourself, believe in yourself, and because you do have everything within yourself. Everything is there. It's just that you've been taught and you've been programmed from the time you were a young boy or girl that you're not supposed to do this or believe in that or think like that.
Exactly, cradle to the grave. And they select and pick out and groom who they're going to bring into their world and who they're going to destroy. It's that simple. But we don't have to be ignorant of that, because it's out there. Everything is out there. It's like Star Trek. It's out there.
Yeah.
You have to go. You got to be brave, courageous. Especially, I speak to the men. I run a program called Rhode Island First Fatherhood here in East Coast in Rhode Island, and it's the recovery and the re-education of deadbeat dads. And the stuff these guys tell me, in their lives and so forth, how, the system goes after, they're enslaved, completely enslaved. They don't even have a roof over their head and so on, et cetera, and they're working through jobs and so forth, et cetera. And then you find out that this is the number one problem with all families. The fathers are missing. They're not in the lives of their children like it seems to be a very important factor in the children that being raised by single-parent homes, especially if they're being raised by women and their boys. And this seems to be a big problem, because they'll take the men, the ones that will step up and join the military to defend their country or whatever, or the ones that will go to work every day. They'll take those men and they'll kind of ruin their lives with that. And they'll take the women and they'll divide them by saying, hey, look, you need this for your hair, you need that for your house, you need this, and keep this guy and her slaving, while the kids are in public school getting indoctrinated to the next generation. I think that's going to end too.
Well, I hope that the things will change for the school system, because when I was living in the United States, I got really shocked about the way things are in the American school system, because my stepdaughter, she didn't know anything. When I grew up, Wayne, I knew about America, I knew about the States, I knew about a lot of things that were going on around the world, because we were taught these things in school in Norway. But when I asked her if she knew anything about Africa, she's like, no. When I was 10 years old, I knew about Africa. I knew about what was going on there. So there's many things that, I think, living in the States opened up my eyes even further to how divided this world is and how things are being run, because I had to deal with things that to me was not really a part of my life before that, because in Europe things are a little bit different, and for years, and I even heard this from people in the States who had family members in Europe. They said that, well, people in Europe are so much smarter, but I didn't just want to believe it or take their word for it, but when But the truth is that when I lived in the States, I started to realize how bad it really was. I couldn't believe it. That was this bad. With the school system, they're not teaching kids today anything.
Well, they're teaching them to be the most sophisticated slaves on the planet.
And that really is sad because, there's who's going to. When we start to talk about creating new jobs, we have to have doctors in the future. Or what's going to happen with all these things? Because when these kids are grown-ups, they're not going to be able to add two and two together. They're not going to know the answer because they haven't been taught in school how to do it. And so,
Michael, you're doing the formula that's going to correct it. I'm doing the formula that's going to correct that. Our action is going to correct that. These kids right now, you can call them indigo children, whatever have you. They're not paying attention to what they're being taught in school either. They know something's going on, and they're into the tubes too. And their music is starting to reflect, especially the American hip-hop industry. That's why they're trying their best to change it into a Masonic type thing. But when you think of Jimi Hendrix and Bob Marley and so forth, these kids are getting into it. They know, but the thing is, they don't have any reason to care about it right now because they're still eating, they still have their clothes and they, bling bling, and as long as they can get their hands on the material things that makes them happy, they're going to just be themselves. But that time will come to an end. When that comes to an end, they're going to get pretty serious. And they're much brighter than we are. Remember back in the day, I don't know about over there in Norway, but in America, not one person escaped being in a house or an apartment that wasn't painted in lead. All the paint was lead. All the, schools, public schools, were teaching things that took them away from the land, the farming, the food industry, took them away from energy industry, where people were using water, using wind. And solar panels are new, but not they were frying eggs with metal pans back in the 16th century, you know what I mean? So there was all kinds of energies that were being used just recently in the early colonial days. But thousands of years ago, we didn't have electricity and stuff like that. How did we do these things? Well, I believe all that's going to come to a full circle at the end of the year. I really do. And I think with all the stuff that we're doing now, you're one of the entities involved with it, and I am, are going to win. We're going to win because we're going to avoid the negativity. If you know how it feels to be in a negative environment and how quickly your instincts is to get out of it, you realize that that's the route to follow. And I advise anybody to go by your feelings because negative environments will tell you to get out of there. And this is the same way. So we're like that.
No, I agree with you about environment because I had to make some personal sacrifices to get out of stuff like that, and people, they approach me about it. It's like, yeah, but if I really follow what I feel, I will hurt people, and so that's like it's so easy for people to find excuses not to do certain things, and I'm far by perfect. I'm still struggling with my things on a daily basis, but it's like I try to tell people is that you have to become the captain on your ship. You can't let anyone else be the captain on your ship. You have to really be in charge. And if you want things to become better for you, you have to make sometimes sacrifices that may be difficult.
I agree, 100%. I don't see anything you're saying that isn't following on the same path as mine, and I just wish you good luck with whatever I can contribute to it. I'm always available. You know what I'm saying? I think people like us, we are the necessary things to make the change, and to understand how to do that and all that isn't our job. We shouldn't be worried. If anything, like I said before, if you got a smile on your face, and I'll tell you another little thing, whistle a little bit. You know, back in the day, that was the thing, the whistling. And I noticed that when I whistle, little children come up to me and ask me, how do you do that? They blow through their lips, you know. How do you do that? And I wonder, how come their parents never taught them to whistle? And when I whistle, I'm in a good mood. When I was working, I'm retired now, but when I was working, I used to be the maintenance man of a school, and I walked through the halls and was. These people used to tell me all the time, gee, this place wouldn't be the same if you weren't around. And all it was due to a simple act of a tone, harmony that you project out to between your lips and your positive frame of mind. And if that don't work, smile.
Exactly.
But it counteracted all the negativity in my life.
Mm. And when you do talk about these things, I think, you know, you were talking about bad parents or dads, you know, not being there for the kids and stuff like that. And I think, you know, and I was talking about technology, and I think a lot of the kids growing up now who do not know how to whistle is because their parents, you know, placed them in front of the TV, you know, as soon as they came into this world. So the only thing that they do know is what they have seen on that TV screen, you know, and it's become like their nanny is the TV. So it's really sad. And when I grew up, my dad was really strict about the whole TV thing. I was watching a lot of TV though, because I love TV and I love watching certain things there. But he told me, I remember back in 1982, they opened up the first video store in my hometown where I'm from, and my dad told me that's not going to be any good for people. He was like, that's like, he was so against it for a long time, for many years. And I remember my dad's words that there was no way that we were going to get a VCR. That was out of the question. We were not going to get one. But the thing was that my mom got one day, so she went up against what he wanted. But so we ended up having one anyways. And he was the same about satellite TV too. He was like, I'm never going to get that. That's like, it's only violence. And I mean, his points were dead on. They were right. You know, he was right about the things he spoke about. But still, later on, he got a satellite dish too. So so it's easy to fall into that trap. It seems like.
Yeah, well, the process we're going through is the changes is what we should be looking forward to, not so much as feeling sad for anybody or watching the news and see what these people are going through and so on. Because if you look back, that's what it's been for thousands of years now. It's been like that. People have seen nothing but horror. It's been a nightmare. It's been a hell of a ride. But today, as we speak right now, there's people listening, determined to make a change, and that's what counts. These people that are not going to accept what is here and going to change it. Do it any way you can. And I would suggest we do it with ourselves first.
We have about 10 minutes left of this broadcast here, Wayne. And at the end, is there anything that you would like to, if we should sum up some of the stuff that we talked about, what would be the most important thing you would say at the end of this to people out there? Is there anything you would like to say to the young people growing up right now? Or what would be the most important message that you would tell people in general?
My personal, I tell everybody, this spring, indoors or outdoors, I don't know where you live and what kind of environment, but take a seed, and I'm talking not a Monsanto seed, I'm talking about an heirloom seed from a farm that's generations of clean, before the 30s, so to speak. And take that seed and plant it and nurse it and take care of that seed. And see what happens. See what happens. Because what you're going to see in the next 9 months will be the fruit of your life.
Yeah, and it seems like way too few people really knows how to, grow their own food. We have become so, accustomed to the fact that we can just go to the supermarket and get what we want. And of course, like what you...
It's not about food. It's about creating life from the Mother Earth. See, the Mother Earth is in trouble. It's not fair, us as beings, because we don't die. We're energy force. We just return to the source. Energy doesn't dissipate; it just changes form. But as far as the Mother Earth and our time on the planet in this form,
We're developing a society because of all of these different toxins known to affect brain function. We're seeing a society that not only has a lot more people of lower IQ, but a lot fewer people of higher IQ. In other words, a dumbing down, a chemical dumbing down of society. So everyone's sort of mediocre. That leaves them dependent on government because they can't excel. We have these people with lower IQ who are totally dependent. And we have this mass of people who never read anything they're told because they can't really think clearly. And very few people of very high IQ have good cognitive function who can figure this all out. And that's what they want. So, you can kind of piece it together as to why they are so insistent in spending so many hundreds of millions of dollars of propaganda money to dumb down society.
As long as it's in natural dirt and natural seed without any chemicals or additives, and watch it grow. And at the end of the summer, around harvest time, that's the first meal. You break your fast, or on December 22nd, have that meal or eat that as part of your meal and celebrate life and forget all this crap.
Yeah, well, I have to say thank you, Wayne, for spending some time with me here and talking about your views on life and everything, and I think we are in for a historic on one level or another. We are going to see something historic going down, I think, too. Because I personally sense it, that we are going to see some major things happening, and we're going to see our world changing. And I felt this ever since I was a young boy, that in my lifetime I was going to experience something that would be out of this world, if you like. Something that was going to really change life on Earth around completely. And from where I'm standing and seeing this, I see things happening on a daily basis now, tiny bits and pieces that are changing. And you were talking about the Freemasons and the secret societies and everything. Of course, they are aware of this, and it's almost like they're running scared. And
They are.
yeah, they're running scared. And I mean, when you have tried to control and done the things they have tried to do to this world, I think that it's about time that we have peace on this planet, because if there's one thing that we don't have is peace and harmony. And one of the reasons, Wayne, for me doing this, it has to do with freedom. It has to do with that we have the right to choose. Don't matter where you are on the planet, you have the right to choose how you are going to spend your life, how you're going to live, and how you're going to evolve. It's all up to you. Because forcing people, I don't believe in forcing at all. I don't believe that you should force anyone to do whatever. If they want to do it themselves, that's one thing. But forcing is not something I'm a fan of. Absolutely not.